Hi everybody, welcome to Roll and Move Reviews. My name's Kirk, I'm your host. As always, thanks so much for watching. Today I'm very excited to bring you a new segment we're going to begin called Roll and Move Reviews Expansion Saturday. The concept is pretty self-explanatory. On semi-regular Saturdays, you like how non-committal I am there? I will be reviewing an expansion for an existing board game and probably something that we wouldn't get to talk about on the regular show. But my only rule for this is that if it's an expansion that requires the base game to play, I'll always review the base game first. However, if it's a standalone expansion, meaning you can play it without the base game, occasionally I may review the standalone first because there's certain standalones I just like better than the base game, and I'll have more fun talking about that. But that's how this is going to work, and the first expansion we're going to talk about is actually the second one that came out for Smash Up. And when they first announced this expansion, someone said, oh yeah, Smash Up's putting out their Obligatory Cthulhu Set. And I thought, haha, you know, the joke being that there's so much Cthulhu, H.P. Lovecraft mythos crammed into so many games that, of course, Smash Up is going to get in on the act. And so I said, okay, what's the name of the expansion? And no, the name actually is the Obligatory Cthulhu Set. So just in keeping with that, you know, dry, tongue-in-cheek sense of humor that the Smash Up has. But this is a standard expansion for them. It's 2 out of 5, I think, now. And that means it's just 4 new factions. Plus, there is a new deck of cards in here with some new mechanics. So let's take a look at that and see what we think. Here's a good look at everything you get with the expansion. You have your 4 new factions, 2 new bases, and a new addition to the game, which is the Madness deck. Because if you know anything about the works of H.P. Lovecraft, they're not necessarily about surviving. They're about whether or not you go insane because of all the horrors you've witnessed. So the Madness deck can be manipulated in one way or another by all of the new factions, either by forcing them on other players or taking them on themselves and gaining some benefit because of it. You can see the Madness cards in action. You can either draw 2 cards or return the card to the Madness deck. Now you look at it, you think, oh, I'm definitely going to draw the 2 cards. But then in the game, every 2 Madness cards in your deck are going to deduct a point from your final score. So you got to decide in the short term if those 2 cards are worth possibly losing points at the end. Your first new faction are the Innsmouth Locals. These guys only have 1 minion, and they're these level 2 locals, so it doesn't seem very tough, but they have all kinds of cards that let you buff up lower level guys and bring more out as you play them. So these guys are just going to swarm and get tougher and tougher as they come out. Then you have the Cultists of Cthulhu. And these guys like to dance with the devil. They take on Madness cards willingly, and because of them, they get a lot of different benefits. You have Miskatonic University. This is where a lot of study and research is done in the Lovecraft universe. But they've kind of gone full-blown silly with this, turning it into almost a Scooby-Doo deck. You have cards like Jinkies and Those Meddling Kids and Old Man Jenkins. So like I said, it's on the silly side. But mechanically, this deck focuses on cycling through Madness cards, taking them on, and then finding ways to get rid of them and use them for different benefits. And finally, we have the Ancient Things themselves. These are the monsters. And this deck really focuses on punishing their players if they have Madness cards in their hands, just doing different nasty things and making you discard cards and lose out on different things if you have Madness cards in your hand. Your 2 new bases, you have the Mountains of Madness. It's a 6-point base if you're first player, so it's a big benefit there, but you got to weigh the options because after each time you play a minion here, you have to draw a Madness card. So again, there's 6 points worth it. Then you have Innsmouth, and the ability here is each time a minion is played here, whoever played it can put another player's card, a card from another player's discard pile on the bottom of their deck. That's nice, especially if Madness cards are in play. Makes it harder for them to get rid of it if they have ways to manipulate the discard pile, which a lot of factions do. That's the entire expansion, and obviously it goes without saying, completely compatible with the Smash Up base game and all of the other expansions. The one thing I can say about the Cthulhu set is that I really enjoy the Madness deck and everything that brings to the game. It's obviously the main feature of this expansion, and I know there's some mixed reviews on it. Not everybody loves it. People think it's unbalanced and broken and gives too much an advantage to the Cthulhu players. Personally, I think the whole point of Smash Up is that everything's broken and that everybody has a bunch of ways to screw with everybody else. I can think of cards and combos that exist in other faction decks that can really wreck your day worse and feel a lot more broken than those Madness cards do. So, like I said, everybody messes with everybody. The Madness cards are just the way the Cthulhu players and Cthulhu factions happen to do it. So I have no problem with that. That being said, this is probably my least favorite Smash Up expansion. And it has nothing to do with gameplay or mechanics. Like I said, the Madness deck is cool. The mechanically, the factions work fine. It's more a question of theme. And that's not to say that I'm anti-Lovecraft, because I play Arkham Horror. I love that game. I love that whole line of Arkham-themed games that Fantasy Flight puts out. I have no problem with any of that. I read Lovecraft works. I enjoy his writing. But if you watched my original Smash Up review, you know one of the reasons I love that game is because the factions and the different teams you get to play are so universally known and understood. There's a collective unconscious thing going on when you play that game. When I tell you, okay, you're going to be a zombie, you're going to be a pirate, you know what that means. And even when you start smashing those decks up, you know, you have zombie pirates and you have ninja wizards. Even those combinations are going to paint a picture in your mind. It may be absurd, but it makes sense to you, and once you start playing the game, it plays out the way probably that you think it should. This expansion goes in the exact opposite direction, where instead of giving you something broad and general to play with, it takes something very specific where you have to have a very specific set of information, set of knowledge there. You're either a hardcore gamer or you're a fan of classic horror literature. If you're neither of those two things, you're going to be drawing a complete blank when you try to play this expansion. You know, I bring this game out with people who don't fall in those two categories, and I go through everything else like, oh yeah, zombies and pirates, and we get all that, and then I get to the Cthulhu decks, and it's like, okay, you know, there's a guy called H.P. Lovecraft, and he wrote these books about these ancient creatures that came to Earth, and I have to go through the whole rigmarole, and they just give me this blank stare, and they pass those up, and those never get drafted. They don't draft them, and when I play with those people, I don't draft them either. Because part of the fun of Smash Up for me is not just, you know, watching my own deck play out thematically, but seeing how everybody else's decks play out, and their combinations work. And I want people to enjoy that while they're playing with me, so I'm not going to bring in factions that they're not going to understand or not going to know what's going on. So out of all the Smash Up expansions, and I have them all, these are without a doubt my least played factions. Because, like I said, there's just no... people don't grasp it. You know, it's like, oh, I want to be a pirate zombie. I want to be a dinosaur ninja. I want to be a... What's an Innsmouth local? What's this? I don't understand any of that. So those just get passed on. Nobody wants to play it. And it just really... If this expansion didn't exist, when I play this game, I wouldn't be missing anything, and neither would the people I play with. So if you're a Smash Up completionist, and like I am, I have everything, I'm going to buy everything they put out, then you'll probably get this or you already have it. But if you're picking and choosing, or you have to pick and choose what you're going to get, put this one at the bottom of the list. Unless you are like I said, a hardcore gamer who loves the Cthulhu theme, or you're a big fan of the work of Lovecraft himself, or some combination of those two, then yeah, you're going to want to get this. But otherwise, I'd say it's a pass. There's a lot of other great stuff that Smash Up offers, and you know, without this expansion, there's still a ton of stuff you can do, a ton of different combos you can make, and you really won't miss it. That is the Obligatory Cthulhu expansion from Smash Up. Okay, everybody, thanks so much for watching this premiere episode of Expansion Saturday. Please be sure to leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. That's very important to me. And of course, tell me what expansions you'd like to see me review next. Be sure to visit our sponsor website, alterigogames.net. Whether you're looking for the Smash Up base game, you want the Cthulhu set, any of the other expansions, any other game, alterigogames.net, you're going to get a great deal. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, email me at rollandmovereviews@gmail.com. If you want to watch my other videos, you can see them on YouTube, Facebook, Board Game Geek, or the Alter Ego Game site. Otherwise, that's all I got for you today, guys. We'll see you soon. Have fun out there.